Well, thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We're really excited. You're here for Getting Started Skateboarding. This is for SheJumps, our first skateboarding event. So we're super excited to be teaming up with Carving the Future to bring this to everyone and kind of see what get a little taste of skateboarding, and maybe it'll be super interesting and then it'll become your new favorite thing. So we're super excited. Thank you again for coming. As I mentioned, we're teaming up with Carving the Future, which is an awesome nonprofit based out of Jackson, Wyoming. And that's who Talia, our other co-host, is with. And she is going to share all of her amazing skateboard knowledge with you tonight. And I'm with SheJumps. So Talia, you can head to the next slide. At SheJumps, we really believe in the transformative play of the outdoors. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with SheJumps before, or this is your first SheJumps event. But really what we want to do is just create a safe space for empowerment and community to unearth the potential of women and girls through outdoor play and connection to nature. Next slide. And so about me and my connection with SheJumps, my name is Sarah Foster and I am the Wyoming coordinator. I was previously the Colorado coordinator, so I saw we have some Colorado people. I've been with the organization about 3 years as a volunteer. How I first learned about SheJumps, I'd moved to a new place. I really wanted to meet some people. I still am a civil engineer, so I have a lot of time where I'm at a desk, staring at a computer, and especially at that office, it was very male dominated, and I just needed I needed to connect with some ladies and play outside. And that's how I came about SheJumps, or came into SheJumps. And it was that community aspect that pulled me in. And then what really hooked me and made me want to be a volunteer and devote my free time to it was its core mission of bringing more women and girls into the outdoors, for the first time, just giving them that experience. And I know for me, I grew up in a family where we would go camping on the weekends and we'd bike and ski. And I know I was super lucky to have that opportunity, and it was great. And that really instilled a love of the outdoors in me. And by the time I got to college, I already had this great base platform of knowledge and a connection with nature to build off of. And I started going on a lot of backpacking trips and hiking and more getting into backcountry skiing and all these things. And I was able to do that because I had that base already established. And all those experiences in college really helped me gain confidence. I became, I just really realized what my strengths were, both physically while outside, but it was also I could translate that into my everyday life. And that's just been huge. And now the outdoors are such a part of my life, and it's where I connect with friends. It's if I have a bad day, I'll go trail running or go play in the mountains and just clear my mind. And that connection with nature is just so important to me. And I know I was so lucky because of my family to have that knowledge and that base introduction from a young age, but not everyone has that access or just the ability to do that. And that's where the SheJumps mission really resonated with me, in that we focus on bringing women and girls of all backgrounds into the outdoors and kind of allowing them to experience the transformative power of playing in the outdoors. So that's what we're all about and what I'm really passionate about. And that's what we're gonna do tonight. So Talia, you can head to the next slide. And as with everything, safety first. I know Talia will get into that more in regards to skateboarding, but if we wanna allow people to succeed and grow confidence in the outdoors, in order to do that, we need to provide a safe environment. So obviously we put a big focus on that, and Talia will go into that in more depth, obviously. But yeah, so that kind of wraps things up from the SheJumps end. And now I'm going to pass it over to Talia, who will be leading you through tonight's event. So take it away, Talia. Oh, one more thing. Sorry, just forgot. So feel free, obviously, to use the chat. We've already used it a little bit for our intros. But if you have any questions that you want, there's also the Q&A function. I'm not sure how familiar everyone is, but that's in the bottom of your screen. And you can type in any questions, and we'll be sure to go over all of those at the end of the presentation. So just remember that. Okay, take it away, Talia.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for showing up, girls. I'm really excited to share a little bit about skateboarding with you. And this is kind of a basic presentation for getting started, but hopefully we'll cover a few different categories and different styles of skateboarding, different types of gear, and different tricks that you can learn on your own. I know YouTube tutorials are so great this day and age, but I tried to put just a few in this presentation to kind of give you something to think about and what kind of style of riding you'd like to progress in. So yeah, my name is Talia and I'm from Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And I grew up here as a kid that didn't learn how to snowboard or skateboard until I was 13 years old. And it changed my life. I feel like board sports really go hand in hand. Um, and I was very lucky. I won a scholarship to be on a ski team, an inboard team. And this gave me the opportunity to progress at a really fast rate on a competition team. And I was really into park and pipe, um, a bunch of like freestyle and freeride snowboarding, and got to travel all over the country and all over the world. I was one of the only girls on a team full of boys, and they really pushed me, but also I got to kind of experience and make my own way as a female in the sport. But tragically, I broke my back when I was 16 years old. I did not warm up. I was not practicing in the most safe way possible, and I hit a 75-foot jump without warming up. And I did a front flip off this jump and landed on my back. And in those moments, I thought my entire snowboarding career was ended. I couldn't go to nationals. I couldn't go to the Olympics one day. In my 16-year-old mind, I'm sure I was on that track. And it changed my life for the best. In a strange way, I found out that I could pick up a camera and I could go and take photographs of people in the industry, also hitting jumps. And this camera was like a vehicle around the world for me for 6 years. I lived in 30 countries. I did almost anything I could do for plane tickets. And I loved photography so much. And it opened up my mind and my awareness just to this big, wide world I had never known about. So I just share a little bit of that story because snowboarding and skateboarding are so dear to me. And that's a big part of what we do with Carving the Future. We are a nonprofit in Jackson, but we exist to empower youth through snowboarding and skateboarding. And I'll tell you girls a little bit more about that later, but I think we should get started. Let's go. All right, skateboarding. So this was an action sport developed right here in the US. The first recorded skateboard prototypes date back to 1920s, but it was really developed in the 1950s. And I have a cool little write-up I got. I was checking out Tony Hawk's masterclass last night, and it had some really great things to say about females in skateboarding. So skateboarding has predominantly been male dominated. However, one of the raddest aspects about skateboarding is how women have been there from the very beginning. We don't mean sitting on top of a ramp or lounging out by the empty pool. We mean as pros. Now, in 2020, women are the new face of skateboarding, both in the streets and in the skate parks. As the last 5 to 10 years, women in skateboarding went from a peppered few to a full-fledged movement. As a testament to this movement, we see more women throughout the world represented all across major media outlets for their accomplishments on a skateboard. We see skateboarding as the largest female sport in Afghanistan. While some women believe they owe skateboarding a debt, it is in fact the other way around. Women in skating have made skateboarding more free, more untouchable, more bold, more unique, and they have done so since its conception. So skateboarding can mean a whole bunch of different things. It can be the means for transportation. It can be a sense of freedom, self-expression. You can do it for exercise or fun. Here's a neat video I'd love to share with you guys.
A Navajo woman has become a viral sensation, showcasing her skateboarding skills on the reservation. She's hoping with her growing platform that a new skate park can be built and will inspire others to pursue their passions. News 13's Brady Wakayama shows us. Here you go again, you say you want your freedom.
This is one of Naomi Glass's viral TikTok videos from Rock Point, Arizona, a chapter of the Navajo Nation. The 24-year-old has gained tens of thousands of followers on social media who can't get enough of her skating.
I would see these sandstones and I was like, I wonder if I could skate that. So then one day I was just like, you know what? Let me just try it. Like if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
She learned how to skate when she was just 5 years old from her older brother and hasn't gotten off the board since.
And I'm not a professional at all by any means. I just like to ride around, but it's very freeing for me.
She says skateboarding is very popular within the Navajo Nation, despite the lack of pavement and just 5 skate parks throughout. Because of this, she's teaming up with a Navajo-inspired clothing company that's planning on building a new skate park in Two Gray Hills, which is just 2 hours away from her community.
I love skateboarding so much, and I would just love to bring that joy and love of it to other communities.
She hopes with her newly discovered platform, she can properly represent and share the indigenous culture with the world and show young Navajo children that they can do anything while living on the reservation.
You can, life is what you make it. And go out there, be strong, be bold, and be confident. Be true to who you are.
Brady Wakayama, KRQE, News 13.
The skate park project is expected to start construction this fall.
Great. So I really love that video for many different reasons, mainly because this woman seems to have a lot of obstacles, like not a lot of great terrain, but she's still been so creative and in her style, in her message. And I love what she said about being true to who you are. And that's such a huge part of skateboarding is, this sport can meet anyone where they're at, and you can go anywhere you want to go with it.
A Navajo woman has become a viral sensation.
Here, let me see if I can. Next slide. There we go. Okay, so getting started with the necessities. Helmets, of course, please always wear helmets. Sometimes you'll go to skate parks or see people skateboarding without one, and it doesn't take much to hit your head or get a concussion. So that is something really important. I highly recommend skateboard pads, especially when starting out, especially for your wrists, like wrist guards, and to protect your knees and your elbows. And then the skateboard itself, we'll get into more details in just a minute here about different shapes, different parts of a skateboard, and then how to find what you're looking for. So it really doesn't take much to get going. You don't need fancy clothes or brand new gear. All you need is a positive attitude and time on a skateboard. All right, so I love this page because of all the different skateboards. And I'm gonna give some videos and some demonstrations of different styles of riding. But if you look to the image on the right, there's a lot of different shapes. The classic skateboard here is probably the easiest to start on. Longboards are more stable. They're kind of like a big, huge boat. And if you imagine it's kind of slow to turn on a boat, everything takes time, but also it's a lot more stable. Longboards usually have bigger wheels, and so they ride over terrain that might be tricky if you're on a smaller skateboard or a classic skateboard. And then there's what I just got into is cruiser boards. Up at the very top of this image are a few cruiser boards, and the difference there is that they usually have very loose trucks, which means the board can rock from side to side very easily, and this helps you carve and turn a lot by leaning on both sides. It's so similar to surfing or snowboarding. You can also get by on a cruiser without really pushing your skateboard with your other foot. Some of these cruisers are designed so basically you just pump back and forth, and that creates your momentum. So all great things here, all different styles of riding. The nuts and bolts of a skateboard. On the very top, you'll have some grip tape. You have different hardware or the screws and the nuts that go in to hold these pieces in place. Different wheel sizes for different styles of riding. I would say that sometimes the only two things you really need to look out for in taking care of your gear are your wheels and your bearings. If you guys can see the bearing here, that little round washer looking thing, that is a spinning mechanism inside that fits inside the wheel, and it's what allows your wheel to turn. And I have some good maintenance tips for you in just a moment about how to take good care of those. Your wheels, sometimes, I mean, you might drive, you might not be driving yet, but maybe you've heard your parents talk about rotating their tires on the car. Sometimes it's really great on a skateboard to switch up your wheels. At times, wheels can get flat spots just from riding a bunch, or maybe hitting a big feature. They get worn over time. Or if you're longboarding or learning how to power slide is one way to slow down or check your speed. A lot of downhill longboarders run through their wheels so quickly because they're power sliding the board and wearing down the wheels. And so it's really important to you start to feel it if one needs to be changed up, or you definitely feel like a thunk, thunk, thunk when you go along. And so that is how you know when it's time to get new wheels. Good maintenance for bearings. They get really dirty. A lot of people like to oil them with WD-40, and that's not good either because it just attracts more dirt to the bearings. So one great way to clean this special piece is that you can get a cup of nail polish remover, and you completely let all 4 of your bearings sit inside the nail polish remover for about 15 minutes, and then you shake the cup really hard, and you get to take out the bearings a couple of times, maybe for about an hour or so, and then you wrap them in tissue paper to dry them, shake them, make sure you get all of the sand and dirt out, and then allow them to dry. And when you're ready to put them back on your board, you can apply a few drops of silicone lubricant and spin them around a few times in between your fingers. And that will keep them well-oiled, keep the dirt from sticking as easily, and keep your wheels running great. So the styles of skateboarding, there's so many different styles. And yeah, however you want to develop your skills is up to you. Some of the styles kind of coincide. They work hand in hand, like freestyle and vert and street and park. I have a cool little write-up here that tells us a little bit more about each in a unique way. So freestyle skateboarding, this developed as the original use just before transportation. In the 1950s, when wave conditions weren't ideal for surfers, they hit their skateboard decks using the same techniques they were using in water, just on a smooth, solid surface. These flat ground maneuvers like ollies, shove-its, and manual riding gradually turned into more impressive tricks that now can be seen in modern skateboarding. Vert skateboarding is an aerial style that involves skating a transition from a horizontal surface to a vertical one, such as a ramp, a half pipe, a bowl, or even a swimming pool. Surfers who were pool skating in the mid-1970s to simulate wave riding on dry land created vert skating when they rode up and over the edges, catching air. From backyard pools, vert skating moved to skate parks, which often include pools and bowls, vert ramps and half pipes and quarter pipes. Although going vertical can be intimidating, flying up in the air off a vertical wall is one of the purest thrills there is in skating, and you can use that air to perform eye-popping tricks. Park skating. So this skateboard style uses purpose-built skate parks, which typically feature a mix of vert and street skating elements, such as half pipes, quarter pipes, handrails, stairs, pools, bowls, pyramids, and ramps, kind of similar to vert. In addition to their versatility, skate parks also offer a safe space for skaters where they won't get into trouble and also are allowed to skate. And this is something we'll talk about in a little bit as well. But I bet you have seen a, please no skateboarding and rollerblading sign. And there are areas where skateboarding is not allowed, and it's to keep people safe. And so it's really good to respect those rules. But there's also a lot of fun, creative features and things you can find to practice your skills on just in everyday, in your environments, whether it's, riding off of sidewalks and curbs, or fun little ramps, or just solid features that won't be vandalized or damaged if you ride them, but there are just limitless possibilities all around you to learn how to advance in street skating. Downhill skateboarding is a non-competitive style of skating, or can be, often using longboards to achieve the right control and speed. For safety, or for safe downhill skating, research and practice moves like tucking, where your front foot is fully on the deck, the skate, and your back foot is only on its tippy toes. And I'll show you girls a video in a minute, but they also draft, which means following closely behind a downhill rider to take advantage of the decreased wind resistance so you can gather enough speed to eventually pass them. A good understanding of aerodynamics will also help improve your downhill skating abilities. There's cruising. This is a skate style where riders ride for long periods of time without stopping or doing tricks. Longboards are cruisers, and cruisers have a wider deck and a wheelbase, allowing skaters to travel faster, longer, and with more control than regular skateboards. Off-road, we kind of just witnessed a little bit of that. But there are also specially designed boards that help with mountain boarding, drift boarding, or dirt boarding, or all-terrain boarding. Off-road skateboarding is a skating style done on uneven terrain, such as gravel tracks, BMX courses, woodlands, or mountain bike trails. Off-road skating does not involve paved roads or flat ground, but instead relies on nature to provide the ideal spot to skate. So let's check out some downhill longboarding. That's called a power slide. And these ladies have specially designed slide gloves, which help them slow down and check their speed. These girls have trained so much to get to this level, learning how to draft and use each other's wind, learning how to be more aerodynamic and quick. However, being very spatially aware of the other riders around them. I think it would be very easy for girls to run into each other, but here they're very aware of who's behind them, who's coming up. Sometimes there's accidents. These girls have also practiced falling safely and know how to roll if an accident were to happen. Let's do. Here we go. So one of the best skateboarders in the world is Letizia Buffoni. She's kind of an idol these days and has several films made about her. She's a competitive free ride skateboarder, but like we kind of talked about earlier, sometimes if you are into street or vert, they're kind of synonymous. They go together.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm Letícia Buffoni, professional skateboarder from Brazil. And right now we are in California, Los Angeles. This is my home, and I'm gonna show you guys the backyard. I'm gonna show you guys my skate park. Just got my skate park renewal about a year ago, and I had some stuff that wasn't here. And the reason that I got it renewed is because I want a skate park that I can train for a competition. I'm gonna show you guys a little bit. This handrail, it's perfect size. It's perfect for learning tricks. This stair is super small and fun. The hub was too. It's like what they have in competition, so I wanna kind of to like copy, but a little bit smaller. So I designed the whole thing. The A-frame, it's my favorite thing to skate. Super fun. It's small too. You can learn tricks, skate for hours. There she is. After a full workout like that, nothing better than eating an acai for more energy. This is Kiki. She loves the camera. She always wants to be in the camera, right, Kiki? Kiki, Kiki. And now I'm about to play some soccer, some tackle ball. Got some friends here. They're playing already. And I'm ready to go play with them. Right, Kiki? Let's go play soccer. I got a table that is similar to this one down in Brazil in my house. I started playing beginning of this year, and it's really fun. It's pretty much like a ping pong, but with the ball. So you can now use your hands, only your feet, knee.
All right. Sorry, let's go to the next one. There we go. All right, so amongst Letícia Buffoni, some of my other favorite pro skateboarders that are more into street and vert skating are Elena Smith, Sabre Norris, Erica Nicole Madrid, Christina Coqui, Lacey Baker, Alyssa Steamer, and Mar Barrera. And these ladies are paving the way for what's possible in freestyle skateboarding. Another really fun video I want to share with you is what carver boards look like. I love this video so much because she's not only carving on the board, but she's dancing. And one fun thing we haven't talked about yet is the right type of shoes for skateboarding. And I would say more often than not, you want to have shoes that are kind of sneaker based, but don't have a lot of grip on the bottom. So the girl in this video is wearing Vans, and they're usually quite flat and slick, which help you maneuver around on your skateboard on the sticky grip tape, which is kind of like sandpaper. But also they're not so grippy that you can't slide your foot. All right, let's go. The prep. So, what to think about before you go out? You want to check to make sure the area you're going is open. Time your activity with the sun. I've definitely come home before in the dark without a headlamp, which is not fun. There could be hazards, there could be rocks, there could be, one time I was riding a longboard on a sidewalk on my way home in the dark, and an entire square of sidewalk was taken out. It was a ditch, and I didn't see it. And I broke a rib. So it's like, oh my gosh, the things you never think of. So really like timing your activity with the sun, knowing, when it gets dark, knowing you'll be home before then, be careful. You want to consider season-specific hazards. You might have snow, rain, hail, who knows? In Wyoming and Colorado, I'm sure everywhere, we get crazy weather sometimes. So just knowing what's ahead of you and being prepared. You also want to consider area-specific hazards. We just talked about the sidewalk square missing, but there are also other things like construction, high traffic. There might be wildlife. That's something we really have in Wyoming is you never know when you're going to run into a moose, and those things like to charge. I've also been on a bike path once and was surrounded by big raccoons that were not afraid of me. So being aware of wildlife and just basic things you need to look out for. I'd say cars are probably the most dangerous when you're skateboarding. So being very careful, respecting traffic areas and traffic lights, traffic rules, and always keeping your head up. So there are inevitable risks with any sport. Especially in skateboarding when you're learning, you might fall a lot, and that's normal. But there's a safe way to fall, and there's a great way to learn, so you can always know how to roll out of something or protect yourself. I'll demonstrate that in just a moment. Got a silly video for you. The most common injuries in skateboarding are wrist injuries, and evidently putting your knees down or your elbows, and concussions are also common. And so that's why it's so important to wear all of your pads, have helmets. You want to look out for others. So be careful of vehicles, we already talked about that, animals, pedestrians, but especially when you're at a skate park, there's skate park etiquette that can be learned in which you communicate with other riders. If you are dropping into a skateboard bowl, you want to make sure that you're the only one in that bowl and that other people see you. We call that calling your drop. You might be in a line, you might have to raise your hand and say, dropping next. You also want to spot your landing. Be aware of who's there. There might be a little kid on a scooter or someone in your way. You just want to be very aware of where you're headed and if there are any people in that way that you could collide with. So we already talked about wildlife and weather. Check ahead, keep your eye to the sky, and you don't want to get caught in rain or hail. So accidents do happen, but you can help yourself stay safe and prevent injury. All right, here's a funny video for you. Who's this goofball? Jeez.
Got my chips cashed in.
First of all, make sure you always stop at a stop sign. Stop both ways. You guys already know this. Take eye contact with cars that are waiting. Make sure that they see you before you cross.
Yeah. So this is pretty much common sense. I'm sure you all know this, but it's good to really think about. I'm going to play this video one more time, and I want to let you know that the hill I was coming down from is a really steep hill in Jackson. There's also another one right next to it. That growing up here, we used to bomb down. We would go so fast down this hill, and we didn't give ourselves enough time to slow down or stop. Usually, I mean, I would not recommend this, but we'd have people standing by the stop signs and scouting for cars. They would tell us when it was safe to go, but it would have been a much better call if we'd learned how to slow ourselves down and stop. So you girls have already seen the advanced techniques of power sliding in downhill longboarding, but also in this video, I do something where I set my foot down and I barely let my foot and my shoe touch the ground so it slides over the pavement and it slowly slows me down. I do this with an even pressure and a flat foot. I don't use my toe or my heel. Check it out.
Got my chips cashed in.
First of all,
Let's go to the next one. There we go. All right, so now there might be some hazards in the way. One thing, especially when you're learning, is to look out for tiny pebbles. The little ones don't matter so much, but I don't know, sometimes when they get a little bit bigger, and if you're going slow enough, they can get stuck under your wheel.
something you really got to look out for when you're out and about are these things. Get one of these with small wheels and you're doubling down.
Sorry, I'll figure this out eventually. All right.
So one thing you want to be aware of is how to fall safely. One of the most common accidents with skateboarding is wrist accidents. Because your first impulse when you fall is to put on your wrist. That's a lot of weight and impact on the tiny wrist. It definitely cause a lot of damage. So one way to avoid this is how to fall in the safest manner. So trick tip number 1, what you want to do is bring your arms close into your body. Trick tip number 2 is roll the momentum of your fall. Let me demonstrate. Or it's really nice to practice in the grass so your body and your muscle memory gets more used to the way of falling safely. That way when you're on the concrete, you're going to have a better time.
And so in this video, I'm doing a couple rolls, and it does take a lot of practice to get right. I learned how to do these rolls in a gymnastics gym, and I highly recommend taking some classes of gyms and parkour. This is more a parkour move, but learning how to roll out of something and use your momentum to slow yourself down instead of crashing. So yeah, I highly recommend learning some parkour basics. There's some great tutorials out there.
So one thing you want to be aware of.
Let's try this. Okay.
here with two ambassadors, Lisa Finkelstein.
I am Lisa, and I'm an ambassador and a former board member of the Catholics.
And Susan Hedden here.
I'm Susan, and I've been riding the pathways around here for years and decided to help out by being an ambassador for pathways.
And we're out here today with the tent, talking to people about pathway management, general behavior pathways. So, hasn't been busy yet, but coming into the busy time, 24 and 6.
I think one of the most important things for behavior is be polite, say hi, go slow, and be respectful.
That's right. Now, we just rolled out our new initiative, How We Roll with Jacksonville. And like Lisa said, the very first item is be nice, say hi. And the second item is stay to the right and pass on the left.
Let people know that you're going to pass.
That's right. Now, if you're from England or New Zealand, that may be a problem, but hopefully you don't think that. And the third item is here's a bell to announce your presence when you pass. Because oftentimes we come around people and we startle them if we come around too fast. It doesn't take a whole lot of effort just to ring a bell about 10 or 15 feet before you get around there. Then the fourth item is be pro, go slow. So that's kind of geared toward a lot of the cyclists, especially the tweens that are riding the e-bikes that they just got from their parents. And we're trying to encourage them to ride responsibly and to slow down. Very slow, especially in places like Garmin or the Centennial Pathway or out by the village where it's really crowded. And the last item is dog on short leash. So we're trying to talk to people about that. Because what happens when you have a long leash across the pathway and a cyclist doesn't see it? You take everybody out. So those are our 5 basic initiative points. Pathways this year.
Those are great.
Great. So I'm going to stop this video here because it's a little long.
Hey guys, so I'm here with friends.
Let's see if I can just skip. There we go. All right. So before you start skateboarding, we want to ask ourselves these questions. How will I feel about this activity? What kind of skateboarding am I interested in? Is this a sport, an art, a method of transportation, or a mix of all 3? Where do I want to go? How much of a challenge do I want? What level of physical shape am I in? And can I afford to do this the way that I want? Skateboarding is relatively inexpensive, but the parts can still be pricey and can still add up. Carving the Future is a nonprofit in Jackson, and if you're in this area or you're visiting us, please let us know. Feel free to reach out on our email address, which is info@carvingthefuture.com. And one of the things that we do as a nonprofit is we like to help out and help people find gear, especially if it's something you can't really afford. We also love putting on programs and projects, different clinics and workshops for kids, and we have athletic sponsorships so kids can be a part of a program or a competitive team. So leave your plan with someone you trust. Make sure mom or dad always know your itinerary. Go ahead and leave a handwritten note. Those are also helpful. You could text a plan to a buddy. And remember to include departure time, trail route, and your estimated return. So this is based on our area here in Jackson, Wyoming. So here's our local skate park and our local bike trails. But if you are not from Jackson, I highly recommend you do a little bit of researching online and find where is closest to you, what is most accessible, what's open. Now getting the gear that you need. So we talked a little bit about the flat bottom shoes already. I really love Vans for that especially. Sun protection, don't forget your sunscreen. Sunglasses are always great, and clothing to protect you from the sun. We already talked about protective gear, elbow, knee pads, helmet, and wrist guards isn't on there, but that's one of the most important ones to have. Always bring extra food and water and extra clothing in case you get cold. Local shopping. So there are skateboards and complete setups. We call them completes on eBay, OfferUp, Craigslist. Those are ways to find used boards. CSS is a very affordable and cheap brand that has complete setups ready to go. That's one of our favorites here. If you're around the Jackson area, we don't have a lot of skateboard shops, so we have to get a little creative here. There's a few at Hoff's Bike Shop and Hoback Sports, but also networking through Facebook or social media groups in order to find gear near you. Once again, come see us if you need rentals or you want gear of your own and cannot afford it with Carving the Future. So some resources for you. In Jackson, in this area, we have Hole in the Wall, which is another shop. Access Gymnastics, I already referenced how important it can be to get inside a gymnastics gym to practice skills first before you're on the concrete. And when I shared a little bit earlier about my story, breaking my back, going to the gymnastics gym would have been a much better way for me to progress and learn how to do inversions safely instead of testing them out on big jumps. We have a local ski team here. We also call it the Free Ride Team through a ski club. We have a series of skate camps and skate competitions called the Wild West Skate Series. We have the Coombs Outdoors Foundation, which is super great. We're partners with them and work very closely with this nonprofit to help get kids active and outdoors. Parks and Rec is always a great resource. They usually have just a plethora of different ideas and affordable ways to go skateboarding. Like I said, the Facebook groups are great, and come see us at Carving the Future. All right, so I would love to share with you a little bit about Sky Brown. She's one of my favorite skateboarders. She's also one of the youngest Olympians up and coming.
I don't give up because I don't want anything to beat me.
You're about to show something that no other girl on the planet can do?
Yes.
Okay, buckle up. Whoa!
We girls are fierce. We can study any subject. We can play any sport we want. Girl sports and boy sports. We can follow our own dreams.
Hello everyone, I'm at Venice Beach Skate Park with a very special guest. How you doing, Sky?
I'm Sky Brown and I'm 11 years old. I started skateboarding and surfing when I was 3 years old.
Sky is going to compete in the Olympics in 2020 in Tokyo. She will be the youngest athlete to compete in the Olympics in the last 80 years. Listen, later, will you teach me how to do some skateboarding?
Yeah.
Awesome. Will I get as good as you?
Yeah.
Yeah, if I work hard enough, right? All right, let's see what you got, Sky. It's exciting. You just come flying into this. Whoa, man. This is fun. That was awesome. My first skateboarding photo ever.
I'm going to be the youngest athlete in the Olympics, and right now, I'm third in the world. I want to be in the Olympics because I want to be the youngest in there and show them that this little girl can do it, you can do it too. Oh yeah. I don't mind being the only girl at the skate park because I want to show them that girls can do what boys can do.
Okay, Sky, I'm right here in case you want to not hit me. Okay, ready when you are. Please tell me if I'm breaking a skate protocol. Can I go down in here? Because there's nobody using this right now. Yeah. You're going to come flying right by me? Okay, so if I'm right here, that's going to be pretty cool, right? It's really backlit. This is going to be a silhouette, I think. All right, let's see it. Where in Japan do you live?
Miyazaki, it's like a South Island. They have really good waves there.
Oh, they have good waves?
Yeah.
Is that why you live there?
Yeah.
Seriously, you live there for the waves?
Yes. But they don't have any good skate parks.
Oh, okay.
So I usually come here to skate in there. Yes, sir.
She's 11. She lives in California to skate and Japan to surf. All right, let's do it. Whoa. You good? That doesn't hurt? Yeah, okay. All right, one more time.
I have a lot of role models. Like, Lisa Buffoni, she is a street skater, which is like she does like rails, like the rails. And I like her because when she skates, she's like Rob, but like when she's like just walking around, she has like pink hair. You can do sports and also be a girly girl. My dream is to go to unprivileged places and teach kids how to skate, because I feel like when they skate, they forget about what they're struggling through. They just think about happiness. So I made a board with almost and skater stand. So basically $10 from each board goes to the kids in skater stand. Skater stand is a charity that's in places like Cambodia, Afghanistan, and South Africa. So basically all the money goes there, and skater stand is like a skate school that gives like children some education and like food and like everything. So
Sky's a professional, but obviously if you're a beginner like me, you want to be padded up. We're not going to go in that sand, are we? We're going in the, okay, we're in the sand. Okay, all right, we're in the sand. Pretty close to the action. Okay, we're really close to the action. What? We're ready. Wow, she goes really fast. Here she comes. Whoa. Whoa! That's so cool. You're smiling. Can you do it one more?
yeah. I kind of like it when I fall because that's kind of part of skateboarding. Like, you will fall. But I like the feeling of like getting back up and trying again. And
What's the sickest thing you can do right now?
well, probably 720. Basically, is where I do 2 spins on my board, and yeah, I'm the only girl that does that. So
Before we did this trick, Sky's dad pulled me over and he said, if she sticks it, you got to get the shot because it's really hard. Whoa! Happy about that?
I'll try it one more time. Maybe a little cleaner.
For real? You want to try one more time?
Yeah, maybe a little cleaner.
A little cleaner. Well, Sky did stick it, but she wasn't satisfied, so she did it again 20 more times. You okay? I think maybe we should call it.
I got this.
Are you kidding me?
I don't give up because I like the feeling when I land a trick, even though it takes like a lot. And I get frustrated, I do, but like I just like the feeling when I land it. It feels like it's like the best feeling ever. I don't give up because I don't want anything to beat me, and I want to be myself.
That's nuts. That's nuts. Were you just going to keep doing that until you got it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No matter how many times it took?
No. Even if it takes like a whole day, I'll still keep doing it.
That was awesome. Okay, ready.
People say I'm too young or I'm too small or I can't skateboard.
Whoa, whoa.
But I like it when they say that because I like showing them that I can do it. I like to prove them wrong. Dancing with the Stars, that was amazing. Like, that was so much fun. I had a lot of fun, and it's important to do not just one thing. You gotta do a lot of different things because, you know, you only have one life and it's way fun to do a lot of things. JT, I miss you so much and hopefully I can see you soon. I wake up at dark every morning to go surf. I surf around 2 times a day, and I love it because it just makes me feel happy and like I'm flying, and I just love the ocean. When I get cold, I'll go skating, and when I get hot, I'll go surfing.
Great, so I'll stop this video here. Hang on. Next one. All right. Well, if you're not inspired, I don't know, that girl is incredible. She has a lot of really fun and interesting videos, does a little bit of vlogging with her little brother, and it's fun to follow her and see how she's growing up and how her competition life is going, but also just how positive and optimistic and driven she is. So to wrap up our presentation, guys, I have a couple of really silly videos of some basic skills you can learn and a nice way to start skateboarding. Once you have your setup, you have your plan, you're ready to go, here's where we take it.
Hey, so to start out, we want to figure out if we're regular or goofy. This means how you like to stand on the skateboard. Some people like their left side of the body to go first, other people like their right. It's about what feels more comfortable for you. So if you don't know this already, a cool way to figure it out is how do you kick a soccer ball? Or if you were to trip or someone were to push you, what leg do you first put out first? Let me demonstrate. If I put my right leg out first, or that's my kicking foot, my right foot likes to go behind. I like to push with my right foot and stand on the skateboard with my left foot pointing forwards. This means that I'm regular. If you like to go right foot forward and push with your left foot, this means you're goofy. Next, I'll demonstrate the ollie. This might be one of the harder tricks to learn when you're getting started. Be patient. Take your time. You'll get it eventually. So an ollie is how you jump on a skateboard. Tail comes down. Your foot slides up the board, helps push the board up, and then lands again. Let me demonstrate in the grass first. So I'm going to put pressure on my tail, slide my front foot up, and put pressure on my front foot again to land. When you're ready, take it to the sidewalk.
And a great way to start practicing your ollie on a sidewalk is to find the sidewalk cracks and set your back wheel or front wheel in the cracks so you don't roll around as much, and then you can keep practicing. Let's see if this will work.
Next.
Here we go. This is called a manual. It's like a wheelie on your skateboard. There's another video I have where I'll show it a little bit more. And Sidewalks are great spots to learn very basic tricks. You can practice riding off a curb. You can practice other curb tricks like nose stalls or grinds, manuals, that wheeler thing I just showed you, or working on your ollie, which is probably the most initially challenging but important skills to learn on a skateboard. Great. All right, so before we open it up for questions, there was one other video that I didn't bring in today, but it was learning how to turn for your first time. And let's see. Oh, I think I'll just tell you. On a skateboard, if you lean forward onto your toes, your toe side edge, or lean back onto your heels, kind of rocking back and forth, this is one way to carve on a skateboard. Another way is to put pressure on your back foot and work on kick turning. So in one of those videos, or a few of them, I'm doing some tic-tacking, which means you're able to turn left and right very quickly with the skateboard. And so this is a really great place to start when you are just learning how to turn in a circle all of the way. You can take, maybe 4 or 5 or 7 different little kick turns to make a full circle, make a full 360. You can try spinning front side or back side. Front side means you open up your front the direction that you're going. Back side means you turn your back the direction that you're going. And those are some really basic fundamentals of learning once you find out if you're goofy or regular, how to stand on the skateboard, how to turn, and then you can start learning how to pump back and forth in a bowl. You can learn how to do ollies, drop into a bowl, flip tricks like kick flips. You can learn board slides, grinds, bowl and ramp skating, just basic skateboard maintenance. There's so many flip tricks out there, and it's incredible what people can do. You can work on ledge tricks, tricks off of banks and transitions, and a bunch of other interesting features that might be able to help you learn a new skill. So with that, I think we're doing pretty good on time right now. I think it's a good time to open it up for questions. Maybe I can zoom back out and see if you have typed any questions in the Q&A box. And if you have a question and haven't done that yet, go ahead and do it now. And I would love to hear what you girls have. So thanks so much for joining us today. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen so maybe I can check out some of your questions.
And here, Tally, I can read some of them to you as well. First of all, thank you so much for that. That was great. Your videos were awesome and super informative and helpful. But okay, going back from the beginning. First question, who is Tony Hawk? You want to give a little brief background on him?
Oh my gosh, Tony Hawk is one of the most well-known professional skateboarders. He might be 50 years old now, and he is still up there and riding like some of the youngest in the game. Tony Hawk also has done a lot of instructional videos and created an amazing foundation that helps like low-income families and situations and towns create skate parks and have access to skateboarding, because he really believes that it's such a positive outlet and that skateboarding teaches confidence and resilience and strength. And it is something really, really important for every community to have a skate park as a safe space or an outlet in which kids can learn a new sport and be surrounded by community. So that's one of my favorite things about Tony Hawk, but I highly recommend you check out some videos and the stuff that he's doing. He sends these amazing jumps and like super ramps and super pipes, and is still to this day one of the greatest skateboarders out there.
Awesome. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't really know much about skateboarding, but growing up, we had like the Tony Hawk PlayStation game, and it was the best game ever. I loved it. Okay, more questions. Are you going to show us how to do skateboard tricks, which you did some of that? And then tips for doing ollie, which then you showed the video of doing the ollie. Is there like, you know, maybe one thing that you think is super important to remember, or like just anything for that specifically?
Yeah. So the ollie, it happens so fast, like a lightning strike. And it's something that I watched Tony Hawk do again and again and again and again on a tutorial or a video when I was in middle school. And it was great because it was in slow motion and you could slow it down and you could really watch what was happening. And it is something that is very hard to demonstrate in fast time like I did. So I highly recommend checking out, you know, how to ollie on YouTube. But let's see here. Let me grab a skateboard real quick. Great. So I have my cardboard here. And with ollieing, basically, you put pressure on your back foot and you're able to kick back just a little bit. And in a quick flash second, your front foot slides up the board, and it slides from about the middle of the board to almost the top. So that's about a fourth of the board, not very much. And just in that movement, they kind of work hand in hand. So I would push down with my back foot, slide my front foot up, and that carries the momentum for the board to click up and land. And I didn't demonstrate some larger ollies, but some people ollie off stair sets. They're able to ollie up onto curbs. There's some great videos of Sky trying to ollie higher and higher over a cone. And it's great to test yourself. Once you get it initially in the grass is the best place to start because it's a lot easier. You can practice ollieing while you're rolling. You can practice ollieing over greater heights. And it's a really fun game to see, like kind of like limbo, who can ollie higher and higher.
That's awesome. Cool. Okay. Is there a type of skateboard that you might recommend for someone who has a beginner's fitness level?
Yeah, I would say a complete skate deck from CSS. They have like really great, just basic skateboards for learning. And they're, depending on your size, they have a mini size skateboard and then a little bit regular sized ones. And I'd say both minis and regulars are great to learn on initially.
Cool. Okay. And then are there any certain specs to look for when buying a skateboard?
Yeah, so on the nuts and bolts page, and I can try to go back to it too, we talk about the different parts of a skateboard, and it really depends on you. And especially when you're beginning, there might be some skateboards at like a Walmart or other stores that I wouldn't recommend as much. The bearings aren't as quality, the materials aren't as quality. So I highly recommend going directly to a skateboard company like CSS and maybe buying a complete there to start. But once you get into it a little bit more, you can test out, you know, what wheels are really great for this style of riding that I want to do, or for this board, or even the bearings. Mine are very dirty right now. I had this board in Hawaii and a bunch of the mud and the ocean got into my bearings. As you can see, they're very rusted. So I need to take this home and clean it. But one thing with bearings is there's a few different types, and they're classified by a name, and that name is ABAC. And so ABAC 3s might be great for riding around like skate parks. ABAC 5s are a little bit faster, and those are probably the most standard. But if you're doing like downhill longboarding and you were super serious, you'd want ABAC 7 bearings. And that just means they spin and rotate a little faster. But yeah, basic hardware is all pretty straightforward, but I'd say the wheels and the bearings are kind of, as you get more experience, you'll learn more about the kinds that you're looking for based on your style of riding. And then as far as the decks go, like this one's kind of a fun little surfer board, and it's a lot bigger than a regular size skateboard. It has really big trucks, and my trucks here are usually very loose. I lent this board to a little girl today, so she tightened them. But the trucks themselves too, these ones are bear trucks, which I've never heard of before. These are kind of fancy for a carving board. But you can go to any skate shop or even just research, what are the top 3 skateboard trucks for price range. And you could find some really great components there. But yeah, I don't know if you have any other specific questions. Not too much of a gearhead, but I know the very basics and what's worked for me. But go ahead and ask questions and do a little bit of research yourself based on the kind of skateboarding you want to do.
Awesome. And I was also just going to throw on right there to this, so everyone knows we are recording this and we'll be uploading it to the SheJumps YouTube channel. So, if you want to go back and look at any of the slides or rewatch any of the videos, you all will be able to do that. You'll have access to that after this. So don't feel like you need to memorize everything right now that you're hearing too. Okay, next question. Does Saber Norris also have a YouTube channel?
Ooh, good question. I'm not sure. Let me look it up.
All right.
Let's do, she might. I'm not seeing it initially. We might have to do a little bit more research there, but yeah, I don't think so.
Okay, unknown. What would you say is the best way to get comfortable with being on a moving skateboard and finding your balance?
Yeah, so going slow, starting low. Whether you're riding on a bike path or something with more mellow pavement, more like even pavement, yeah. But also, like sometimes roads can be really bumpy and you want to find something that's a little bit more smooth. That's the easiest, I think. But basically just testing out your balance day by day, and you'll find that it gets better and better. Like if I were a gymnast in a gymnastics gym and I wanted to get up on the balance beam and do a cartwheel, I'm probably going to fall on my face. But if I take it step by step, just practice standing on a skateboard in the grass. And then maybe the next step is, all right, I'm ready to practice standing on a skateboard while holding on to a car or a pole for stability. And then from there, you can kind of practice your balance. And then you can start pushing with your foot. Thanks. I'm getting attacked by a cat over here. You can start pushing your skateboard and learning how to, one video I wanted to share as well that didn't make it in there is basically when you stand on a skateboard, you are facing sideways. That's kind of how we ride, sideways. But when you're pushing, you pivot your front foot to point forward, and then you use your back foot usually to push yourself along. And then you put your back foot back on the skateboard and your front foot rotates again, so you're sideways again. And there's a lot of really great tutorials on this on just how to push on a skateboard. But that would probably be step 3, is learning how to stand and push on a skateboard.
Cool, awesome. And then some tips on stopping when a bit of a downhill when first learning.
Yeah, that's a great one. So power slide is probably the most advanced move. That's hard to learn. One easier one might be, the most common one is you can try to put your foot down a little bit, and it's hard to demonstrate on Zoom, sorry. But you can try to slow yourself down a little bit by speed checking. And that's the most common. Sometimes if you're going way too fast, let's see if I can demonstrate. Can I stand on your couch, Granny? So if I'm skateboarding along like this, and I want to slow myself down, I might go like this a couple times, or like I showed you in the video, with a flat shoe, I'll just barely let my foot sit all the way on the ground and slide, and that will help me slowly speed check. If I really need to slow myself down quickly, I'll put more pressure down on this foot, And that's one way to slow yourself slowly, but it does take a lot of balance and a lot of practice. So it's fun to try, you know, just in little sections and see, okay, you know, I've got about like 10 more feet to go. I'm going to see if I can slow myself down by putting my foot down all the way to that stop sign or all the way to that line that you made. A lot of people too, like, you know what, it's okay to jump off the skateboard and run. It's okay to let your skateboard fly out and just go somewhere. You can pick it up. But that is kind of something you have to work on, is with your balance and learning with more speed, the best way to hop off your skateboard or slow yourself down with more and more control as you get better.
Cool, awesome. Someone wants to know the name of your cat.
Oh, that's Dobby. This is Dobby. Tragically not my cat, but my dear friend Fanny here. Fanny is my tech whiz, and she's helped me out so much with this PowerPoint because I've never run a PowerPoint before, but Dobby's one of the greatest cats I've ever met.
That's awesome. You're so fluffy. Okay, last question in here, at least right now. As you mentioned, skateboarding and snowboarding kind of go hand in hand. Are there any similarities between skiing and skateboarding that might give a beginner more confidence?
That's a great question. I would say yes. With skiing or any sport, strength, flexibility, training, control, and balance, all of those aspects come together to help us grow, help us develop our physical strength and our skills in whatever we're trying to do. So if you're a skier and you're used to going straight downhill or be kind of more centered and facing what's in front of you versus sideways, I would say it's still super beneficial to learn different ways of riding, of balance. Like, I think skiing switch just terrifies me. I can't imagine going backwards and looking over my shoulder. But that would be really great for me to learn, even though I don't have to do it as a snowboarder. It's really great for our brains too, to kind of mix it up and try different ways of doing things, different ways of body awareness and how we can progress. Did I answer your question? Let's see. Yeah, so I'd say it's just a different style of anything athletic that you want to do, but it's going to help you across the board. Yeah. Or in general.
Awesome. Okay, and then how did you get into competitions?
I won a scholarship to be on the snowboard team. And honestly, I had never really snowboarded before I joined a snowboard team, and that's not normal. I'd say my first competition was a rail competition. And we had to travel 7 hours to Utah for this competition. And in the competition, I had never hit a rail before. I'm like, okay, what do I do? It was called a battleship box that goes up, flat, down. And I was like, great. So I just point my snowboard at the thing and a ride on it. My coach was like, yeah, try that. And I went up the up part of the rail. Didn't make it to the flat, just stopped because I didn't have enough speed and just slid back down, and then I hopped off, and it was so funny. But I was really grateful that I did kind of push myself a little bit hard in the beginning to progress, and I was always riding with people who were better than me, and they really pushed me to test my comfort zone, but in a safe way where I wasn't, terrified, but I was like, okay, this is my level. This is the next thing. This is what I'm working on. And that really helped me in competition, and I progressed very quickly. So I was really grateful for that opportunity. And like I kind of talked about too, is it's so good to know your own ability and trust yourself. The reason I got hurt was because I wasn't trusting myself, and I let someone else tell me what I should do. And I went for it, and it didn't work out great. So yeah, sometimes you just know hey, this is way over my head. But there's a safe bracket or a safe kind of area where you can test yourself and push yourself to progress.
That's awesome. I love that you went to a rail competition without ever hitting a rail. That's so great.
I made a lot of people laugh. Yeah.
Not a lot of you guys know Talia, but that is perfectly her. person to do that.
Nice. I love it. Just go for it. That's a great mantra. Sweet. Well, that wraps up our question. So obviously, thank you so much, Talia and Carving the Future, for bringing all this knowledge and giving us a little inside scoop of the skateboarding world. And thank you everyone who came out. Like I said, we will be recording, or we are recording this. So I'll be sending that out to all you guys so you can watch it whenever you want. And yeah, I don't think Talia mentioned, but on next Monday is National Go Skateboarding Day. And I know that Carving the Future is doing an event on Saturday. Is that right?
Yeah.
So if anyone's in the Jackson Teton area, you guys should definitely check that out. And wherever you guys are, I'd suggest just Googling National Skateboarding Day, Vancouver, or wherever you are, and just see what pops up, because there'll probably be stuff happening around you that would be like a great intro now that you've come here. So yeah, do you have any parting words, Talia?
No, just that it's such a pleasure to be with you guys and girls. Thank you for having us. Yeah, check out Carving the Future if you want to know more about what we do. Let us know if you're visiting and you need some gear. But also, yeah, stay true to you. And I hope you all have a wonderful summer.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one. Bye.